everyone, my name is Julie Jeske and I'm very excited to be with you here today to talk about budgeting. So with the new year comes resolutions, and if your resolution is to be financially stable, a budget is a great way to achieve a healthy financial focus. So as a private banker with American Bank Center, I work with a lot of business owners and medical professionals, and I help them achieve their milestones. So whether you have a small business, big business, medical practice, have a family, or if you're just responsible for your own financial well-being, a budget is a great way to help you achieve that goal. I have had a variety of careers throughout my lifetime. I have worked retail, was Associate Director of Development at a private university. I have been a public relations specialist for a healthcare system and a vice president at a local hospital, all before accepting my career at American Bank Center. Now, while these jobs do not seem remotely related, they all had one thing in common. I had a budget. Now, the rule of budgeting is pretty straightforward. Don't spend more than you make. But for some of my jobs, I did not know what my income was going to be, so I really had to watch my expenses. So what is budgeting and how did it help me? So budgeting is the plan for spending your money on essentials, lifestyle, and future expenses. In its simplest form, it is the accounting of your income and your expenses. It's a picture of how much you are making and what you are spending your money on. So let's talk about a few budgeting tips that I've come up with that'll help set you on the path to being healthy, wealthy, and wise. Tip number 1, create a budget. So budgeting is important as it allows you to measure spending habits and find ways to reach your goals by adjusting how much you are spending and the money you're bringing in. Budgeting makes it easier for you to determine whether you have enough money to cover living expenses or other things you would like to do. The first step to budgeting is to write down your monthly expenses, which is a combination of fixed expenses, which are the monthly bills that you have and they stay consistent, like rent or utilities or a car payment, and your variable expenses, which are expenses that can change based on usage, such as utilities. Also key to budgeting is to start a savings habit by allocating a percent of your income into a savings account. Now next, write down your monthly income. And this is money you bring in after taxes. And that's a big difference. I remember my daughter, when she got her first paycheck, she came home and she was so upset because she got about $20 to $40 less than she was expecting. And her question to me was, Mom, what is this FICA and how come they're taking so much of my money? So remember, it's money after taxes. So this income can be from an employer's paycheck, it can be from contract work, and other money you may receive on a regular basis, like child support, alimony, or if you get like money from a trust or an allowance from grandma and grandpa. Now subtract your total monthly expenses from your total after income and see what is left. If you have a positive number, that's good. But if it's a negative number, then consider trimming expenses somewhere. I'll discuss some potential ways to trim expenses a little bit later. In essence, the goal at minimum is to have the money you make cover your living expenses, debt, and savings goals. Now I understand budgeting doesn't sound like fun, and throughout my years I have had friends and acquaintances who have made very good incomes get themselves into difficult financial situations because they didn't understand how to budget. As a friend once said to me, I've always had money, so I just spent what I made, and even then some. I never learned how to live within a budget, and I'm having a hard time making my monthly payments. Tip number 2, determine a want versus a need. And there are mornings when I say I need a Starbucks. But is it a need or is it really a want? Because there is a difference. When you're creating a monthly budget, one of the most important steps you need to take is categorizing your spending as whether it is a need or a want. It is also one of the most difficult steps because what is a need versus what is a want can vary from person to person. It's also easy to categorize wants as needs if you're so accustomed to having them that you have trouble imagining life without them, like that morning's Starbucks. Needs are usually your basic living expenses, things necessary for your health, or expenses that are required for you to do your job. These could be rent or mortgage, utility bills, health care, medications, food, and clothes for work. Now, wants are things that you choose to buy but could definitely live without. So they're like entertainment, dining out, travel, electronics, monthly subscriptions or gym memberships, TVs or music streaming accounts, and new clothes. So wants are not inherently bad, and they're pleasant, and oftentimes they can help you accomplish important goals by keeping in touch with loved ones, having fun, or staying healthy. But remember, they're not necessary to your survival or well-being. Be penny wise is tip number 3. I've had individuals come to me seeking financial advice who have a lot of credit card debt. Some know exactly how much they owe, and others have no idea and greatly underestimate how far they are underwater. While the truth may hurt, not knowing is far more painful. Always know how much debt you have at all times. Seems like everyone wants you to sign up for a credit card, and they are making it tempting. I cannot get out of TJ Maxx without them asking me at the till if I would like to save 20% today by signing up for a credit card. However, the reason credit card companies are so willing to give you a card is because they charge a very high interest rate. That is how they make their money. So let's say you rack up $25,000 worth of credit card debt, and over the course of the next 5 years, you don't charge anything else on this card and diligently make monthly payments of $648. At 18.9% interest, at the end of 5 years, you will have paid $13,024 in interest alone. So now that $25,000 actually cost you $38,024. Full disclosure, I have credit cards and I do use them. But the key to credit cards is never charging more than you can afford and pay them off every month if possible. Sometimes when I make a purchase and I'm looking at using my credit card, I'll actually ask myself, if I was paying cash for this item, would I buy it? To me, nothing is worth 18.9% interest. If you do have credit card debt, paying it off can seem overwhelming, but having a solid payoff plan will help you reach your goal of debt freedom. Have a list of your debt and know the amount you can afford to pay toward your debt. These are all key steps to take before you launch into your plan. While you're working on paying off your credit cards, it's important to stop adding new debt. So this includes applying for new loans, opening up new cards, or making purchases on your existing credit cards. To stay motivated, make sure you mark your progress along the way so that you keep your eye on the prize. So tip number 4 is to understand the time value of money. So I had an accounting professor who I loved, and she lectured about the time value of money. So for example, let's say your refrigerator meets with an untimely demise. So you go to the local appliance store and they're willing to give you 0% interest for 1 year as long as you make monthly payments. If it's a purchase you truly need, it may be to your advantage to use the store's money to finance your purchase. Just remember to read the fine print before you sign the contract and keep making those monthly payments, as there could be stiff penalties for delinquent payments. So tip number 5 is don't be afraid to negotiate. So we moved to Bismarck in 2008, and my cable provider had a 1-year deal for $99 a month if I bundled my cable, my internet, and my telephone services. So we signed up. So at the first year, I saw a small increase in my monthly charge, but recently I noticed that my bill was close to $180, and they continued to reduce the number of channels I had access to. So I called my cable company, explained the situation, and the customer service representative offered me a better package than we had for roughly $40 less a month, and she guaranteed this rate for 2 years. If you do find yourself in a long-term contract and money is becoming tight, don't be afraid to reach out to the provider and ask them if there's a better package option for you at a lower monthly charge, like your cell phone bill plan. Now just make sure that they don't charge you a service fee to get out of your existing contract. Okay, so tip number 6, and we're all guilty of this, is avoid lifestyle creep. So lifestyle creep is when living expenses and non-essential expenditures grow with income. Now lifestyle creep can make activities or items that seemed like luxuries when you had a lower income or standard of living, such as lengthy vacations, top-of-the-line appliances, brand new cars, frequent meals out, seem like essentials. As a result, you continue to live with the stress of never having enough. Lifestyle creep is the reason why people earning six-figure incomes a year also live paycheck to paycheck. If you continue to add or create more expenses as you earn more money, you'll always be stuck in a never-ending loop of not having enough. Tip number 7, and this is my final tip for you today. Review and monitor. So budgeting requires you to review your previous month's spending habits and look for ways that you can cut costs, pay off debt sooner, or add to your savings. At the beginning of each month, review and make a plan for how you will spend your money. Write down what you think you will earn and spend for the month. Now gather from your online accounts what you spend each day and categorize it. And it's best to do this daily, but if you can't, at least weekly. The reason why is these small purchases can add up to large sums of money in the end. For example, if you can save $25 a week by cutting expenses, at the end of the year you will have saved $1,300. That's a lot of money. So continue to review and monitor your budget as your life circumstances and priorities change. If you ask people older than you what their biggest financial regret is, a lot of them will say that they wish they had started making more of a budget and got serious about money well before they did. So that's our budgeting lesson for today. I hope you learned a few things that'll stick with you for the years to come. There's a lot of great resources that are out there. There's apps for smartphones. There are budgeting spreadsheets on the internet. So make sure you take advantages of the resources that are available to you.